good evening and welcome to another edition of Life is People. Well, tonight it's a great honour of mine to finally speak to someone who, for many years, I've kind of followed really, ever since seeing him live. And I'm one of the few people in the world who've got a signed copy of the album, man. So without any further ado, how you doing tonight, John?
I'm doing very well, thanks. Yourself?
I'm really good. So let's start from the very beginning. Let's how did you stop starting music?
I started on the drums when I was about 13, I think, and yeah, I just went from there. Just started playing drums, and went bass, guitar, and then started dabbling in other stuff.
And what made you start in drums?
One of my friends had a drum kit, and I had a go on it, and I was able to play. And yeah, my dad heard me and bought me a drum kit, and just went from there, really.
So, what kind of, I mean, when you started off drums, what particularly were you kind of jamming to, or were you just playing freestyle?
I ended up in a couple of bands, so we did a lot of like Zeppelin and Hendrix, stuff like that. A lot of like classic rock, and then my styles started evolving from there, really.
That's okay. Then, so on that one, who would you sort of count as one of your favourite drummers?
It's between Mitch Mitchell from the Jimi Hendrix Experience and the original drummer from Bedouin Soundclash. I can't remember his surname, Pat something. He's one of my favourite drummers.
So, like you say, so you progress through, and eventually you obviously got to the guitar. Now, one of the things that blew me away the first time I ever heard your music was like, I'll give you a bit of background. I used to be a massive Dylan fan, and I do use the word used to be. Okay, that's another story. But hearing you for the first time, I was like, wow, someone in your generation playing something, picking guitar and acoustic. Now, not many people do that, because most people, when they learn guitar, will pick up the electric, learn the old power chords, and they're away. But so, yeah. How did that progression on, learning to play, that kind of acoustic style and that technique?
So, well, like you were just saying, I started on electric and started with riffs and power chords, and then it wasn't quite enough. And then I started getting into Bob Dylan, and Fionn Regan was a big influence as well. I don't know if you've heard of him, but he's very finger picking based, and yeah, I just started exploring the styles. And Maltzy was one that sort of pushed me to do it as well.
And did you progress this to the point, and did it get more developed when you went to, because you said, and I read a sort of known about you went off and studied what degree in music, or?
Yeah, I did music production and performance leads. Yeah, that was. I'd already sort of developed the sound before then, but I think it did do a lot for it. My degree got a lot more understanding of harmony and notes, and yeah, just started playing around and experimenting more, playing with different musicians that were higher grade than I was. So it made me want to develop further.
And what was that? The College of Music in Leeds?
No, it was Leeds Beckett.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
So, because it's fascinating you say that, because I've spoken to a few musicians who study music, and one of the common things that they say to me is that they wish they never gone and learned music, because they look at someone like, for instance, I never studied music and I play a bit, and they're like, I wish I had your freedom. So you didn't sort of felt that inhibited you in any way?
Well, no, it fueled it, if anything. Like, if I was learning more theory based, then it would be a lot more controlled, which I wish I did learn more theory, if I'm honest, because it does help. But no, I found when I did my degree, and the use of having the use of the studios, which were top notch, like really good equipment, really good hardware stuff, and really good desks, gave me a lot more of an understanding and made me realize how much I love the production side.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, go Karen. Sorry.
Originally, I didn't really, I wasn't really into the production side. I did a little bit of recording every now and then, but It was when I went and did my degree that I realised that's what my passion was really in.
Oh, that's fascinating. So I never knew you had that sort of passion. I mean,
Yeah.
so when you were stuck doing that, do you learn on what, 4 tracks, 8 tracks, or am I sounding like an old boomer here?
But I originally started using Ableton and just a little alto mixer where we came out the phono into the mini jack, but that was terrible quality. But at uni they were on like big 48 channel audience desks, which are really nice preamps on, and then getting into all the like patching the hardware, compressors and reverbs and stuff like that in. That's where it got really interesting as well.
Wow. So
Mixing.
do you, sorry, so when you record now, do you do it digitally recording, or do you do analog?
Well, with my equipment, I only have I don't have much hardware equipment apart from my interface, and then like so I use a lot of VST sounds, like so virtual instruments, and then I quite like to mix live instruments in with that now.
Right. So was the basis? I mean, again, I'll sort of show it to people again because it's one of my favourite albums. I love this album so much. Was the sort of the genesis of this album started when you were studying, or had you had the songs for many years but previously?
I think I was in my final year. I'd gone for a really bad breakup and I was having a really bad time, and I just decided to dive into my music, and that was I think it was the end of the second year, beginning of first. And I just dived into it, and that's the album was the outcome, really.
You're brushing aside that, so I mean, let's just say that it's just the album. So I'm gonna dig in more to that. So let's talk about your process, the creative element of it. Do you start with the music and then add the words, or do you add the words and then the music, or is it a combination?
Combination, yeah. It depends on how I'm feeling at that moment. I've done a lot where, like, so in one of my old jobs, I remember writing down like 4 or 5 songs and just lyric, and then going home and trying to find some chord progressions to fit with it, and came up with a few songs like that. Primarily, I do start with I'll come up with a guitar idea and then go from there and build on that. Then get the melody for the vocals, and then start with the lyrics.
Okay, so on the basis of an Into the Light album, what was the one particular song that came first and you built from it?
Time I Come Home was the first one.
Right, okay.
So we were recording that within a project at uni as a group project, and Matt Dayton came in. He played with Paul Weller, and he's also in Mother Earth and Family Silver. So he came in as a guest lecturer, heard the track and decided he liked it, and he was asked if he wanted to play on it by my tutor, and he said yeah, and he ended up playing electric guitar on it. So that was the starter, and then I did the rest of it at home, apart from the cello recorded in the studio in Leeds and the drums.
Okay. In that, so you kind of built it up stage by stage by stage, and then what did you have? Like maybe sort of 20 songs, and you narrowed it down to what was going to be on the album, or did you just have that's it and then I'm going with it?
Well, I had a lot of songs in the bank already that I've been on, and then I was writing a lot at that period. Sometimes I'd come with 4 tracks a week,
Wow.
Yeah, sometimes I think the most I did was 3 in one day.
That must have been one hell of a day, dude.
Yeah. And with my guitar, just coming up with when the creative juices are flowing, which isn't really happening at the moment.
Okay, so do you have something always around you to just record bits and pieces? That's when it does happen, you've got it even on your phone or something. Do you have...
Yeah, so usually I'll just record a little video on my phone just to get the idea in my head, so I don't forget it, which I do quite a lot. And then once I sort of start developing from there and the song starts coming together, then I'll start recording. Usually start with the guitar and then just build on that and just get go.
Okay, and do you? I mean, the songs like particularly on you know on the album, are they raw, as in you just write them out and that's it, and they were just like, no, I'm leaving it, and they're perfect done, or is it a case of like you had to chisel away, chisel away, chisel away until you had the right sort of structure?
It was a bit of both, really. Like, just came and that's it. Like, they would. I felt like it didn't need to change them, but then some took a lot of work. Trying to think, is it When I Should Say Goodbye? That was a combination of two songs, I think, that I fused together to create that, or two ideas of two different separate songs, and then decided to put them together, and it worked.
Oh wow, that's an interesting. I've never heard that before. That people that mix on two songs. So when you're in this sort of process of doing this at the studying, was that where you met George?
No, I met George when I was about 13. So I would play drums in a band with him and a few other people when we were, like I say, about 13, 14. And yeah, we played together for a couple of years, stayed friends for a while, but then we both went different directions. And then one day I came home and lived back in Richmond for a while, and then bumped into him, and we needed a guitarist for Operation Drystone when Coco Room split up, and yeah, he just jumped in for that, and that was it. We just started gelling again and started jamming together.
Because what's almost kind of quite unique, because I've been around bands for many years, and what I find, particularly just watching some of the stuff you put out on social media, the unique element you have is like there's almost like a synergy between you and George. It's rarely seen, because you often get bands.
It's rare to come by. I've not gelled with anyone really like I did with George musically, or like I do with George, should I say?
And do you find that you push each other, or you? I mean, about sort of him being present in this conversation. I mean, does he have a different style of music he likes compared to you, and then you meld them?
Yeah, we both like a lot of the similar sort of stuff. There are certain songs that or certain genres he likes that I don't, and same vice versa. But I think that helps build that unique energy, all the different influences coming in.
Yeah.
Bounce off each other a lot. Like, I'll come up with an idea, he knows exactly what to put to it. He comes up with an idea, I know exactly what to put to it, and it just works. A lot of the time we're just getting drunk and just yeah.
That's how some of the greatest music has ever been created in life, my friend. So
yeah.
With the George one, I mean, particularly now, obviously, no outgoing details, but he lives, a different part of the country to you. So how do you, I mean, I know you put them on social media, you two connect up and you'll sit and jam and stuff, but on a day-to-day basis, how do you overcome that, being the distance and, trying to sort of...
It's just one of them things that we have to do, isn't it? I do miss George a lot. I miss playing with him. Like I say, I've never had that connection, like, musically with anyone, and yeah, I've not come across it since. But I find with being the primary writer, I can still sort of get by. It's not the same, but I can still push it,
Okay, and I'm going to ask a question, maybe a bit sort of touchy. Maybe I should ask George it separately, but obviously, it's, you actually sort of, on this album, you're called, John Stainthorpe, and it's got Laughing Hearts. Now, was there any kind of pushback about having John Stainthorpe first and then Laughing Hearts, or?
So when I released it, I was a solo act. It was just me. Me and George actually not spoken for about 1.5 years because we had a bit of a fallout. But yeah, then obviously we when we formed the band with George and Maltz, we decided it was Maltz who came up with the name The Laughing Hearts, and decided it would be better. I wanted to drop my name, but then the new label didn't want that at first, and then they just decided they didn't want the band.
Okay, so was that pre-Butterfly Effect then?
No, that was post. So that was at the start of lockdown. I got offered a record deal and signed it. Started working on a couple of tracks for it, and then about 3 months ago, the label went under.
Oh,
So we never had anything.
oh man, that's well, I suppose they're one of the many that have probably gone under the last 2 years with all what's gone on. So I mean,
Yeah.
how did your journey with Butterfly? I mean, how did you come across Butterfly Effect? Did they come across you? I mean, how did that connection made?
Well, I was emailing a lot of labels to try and get my album like released on a label to get a bit more sort of traction with it. And I think it was either Sai or Dan that sent me a message and said I'll give Stephen a message, which I did, and he loved the album and decided he wanted to release it on Butterfly Effect, and it just went from there.
Because I mean, yeah, what I love about the album is what there's so much I want to talk about this album, but was even the fact you got. I mean, I've got the blue edition, so I mean, it was just a beautiful piece of work. I mean, did you have any say over that, or were you told like, no, it's going to be blue? Or I mean, how much?
Yeah, no, so I did it all. Like, basically, I had like 100% control over it, and like, so my friend Henry, he did the front cover art, which is a lino print, and then I designed the back. But then Rob Irish, he jazzed it all up and made it like better, got the out and stuff. I hadn't used Photoshop in about 10 years. So.
Well, coming out, that's obviously one of the things. Obviously, from my angle, what I wanted to talk to you about was the album art. Now, I mean, we're sort of like in the sort of process of doing something for the something which I don't know,
Yeah.
really sort of look. But was he given the title and then he came up with ideas, or was it?
No, actually, I found his house and we were going to start discussing ideas and just get a few little like just bullet points down, and he was going to come up with a few different thumbnail ideas, and we sort of start picking them together. And he just finished that piece and got it framed, and I was looking at it and it spoke to me. So for me, for the album, it's written around a lot of chaos, but trying to be like have a positive outlook on that. And for the artwork, there's all like the craziness going on, and then there's that just little tiny road going off into the peaceful little town with the sun shining, and it just spoke to me. And yeah, that was it. I was like, right, can we use this? And didn't even have to do it commissioned or anything, and he let me use it for free, which was even nicer of him.
Well, that was one of the things that majorly attracts me, because it's been kind of a bit of a mission for me for many years, is to just because what got me into artwork was albums. And back in the day when I'd done that, the majority were all hand drawn, because it was the age before you could do digital artwork. So when I first saw this, I was like, wow, someone's actually done something hand drawn or lino print. And it was like, again, it was like, I thought, well, good on you for championing that, because it's so easy to do the digital one, but you didn't. And so that's a real big heads up to you, my friend.
Oh, cheers.
You know what I mean? Now, before I sort of stray away too much from the music, and I've been asked this because my brother's a massive guitar nerd. So come on, it's getting to the nerdy aspects. What guitars are you playing?
Well, I've got both, which is my main acoustic now, and then I'm looking at them now. I've got like an array. I should probably just show you. Maybe how can I turn this around? So like that one there, and then them ones over there.
Yeah.
But my main sort of like guitars for like say when I'm on electric, I like my Stratocaster. I'm a big Strat guy. I used to have a Les Paul and I got rid of that. It was not really the tone for me.
Okay, now again, so come on, I mean, you can't run away from this. What is it particularly about the Strat? Because my brother's a complete Fender boy. He's got he's a Strat boy as well. So I mean, I want to see your opinion. What is it about the Strats that much you love?
I like the narrow neck. The necks on them are lovely, and I've got a 60s reissue one, so it's not quite as flat. The neck, is it a C-shaped neck they call it? or a D shape, one of them. Yeah, I love the feel on the neck, the tone of them, like that twangy tone. I prefer, like I said, I had Les Paul, it was too beefy, like, which is good if you're doing like heavy rock. You want that low beef, you know.
Yeah.
You want that, but depends on what you're playing, really.
Yeah. But there is something. What I've always loved about particularly Fenders is the warmth you get from them. They're real. They've got real warm. Does that make any sense? They've got warm kind of sounds to them.
I always, when I'm playing my Strat, it's usually on the neck pickup, which is the warmest pickup.
Yeah.
And like you say, for that warmth, it's like nothing else.
And what kind of, okay, it's good, really nerdy. What kind of strings do you use? What's your string of choice?
For acoustic, I prefer elixirs.
Right.
They keep the that natural tone for longer. They're a lot brighter. They don't go rusty straight away. Where I used to use Martins, and I was changing them 3 times a week. Which, you know, I know they're only £5 a set then, but it does add up. But electric, I would go between. I tried the elixirs, they didn't have much sustain on them. So I'd probably either rotos or Ernie balls.
Okay, yeah, Ernie balls has always been a bit of a, the people who know music always use the Ernie balls. And what do you use, slinkies, or do you go quite?
It depends. I mean, back in the day, I used to use 9s, right. like 9 gauge, but then I went to 10s, and I think I've got 11s on it at the moment.
Wow. Now that's unusual. I've never known most people usually the 10s. To go to 11, what is it particularly about 11s you like?
Well, that was when I was playing in the band, when we were doing songs where I was on electric and it was a bit more chordy. Like, it just had a bit more fullness and richness to it.
Okay. So, and do you use a lot of, because I'm not overly musical, are you a big fan, or do you use a lot of open tuning and down tuning?
I don't. I would like to. It's something I've never been able to really get away with. I've tried like DADGAD and like open G and stuff like that, and I can get going a little bit with it, but yeah, I prefer standard tuning myself.
Okay, I remember because I play a bit of acoustic guitar. I remember when I learned like, oh wait, I can drop that E to a D, and it just blew my mind. I'm like, oh my, it made it all a lot easier. And again, I mean, it's hard because I'm not overly proficient. Do you use a lot of capos?
I do, yes. Yeah, a bit too much. Like I use capo more than I don't.
Okay, and where would you have what quite high capos or low capos?
I'm usually around sort of 2nd, 3rd, or 4th now.
Right.
I do quite like it on the 3rd, but that's more because of my vocal range, which is why I started using a capo. And then I started realizing, obviously, you get like you can do open chords higher up, so it's got that nicer, like especially finger picking, it just sounds a lot more pretty.
Yeah, I know what you mean, and it's interesting you tapped on that, because it was something I was, again, sort of related around your particular the album. When you did vocals, was that just something you naturally had, or is that been, did you have lessons?
I had drum lessons for about a year, and that's about it. I've never had any other lessons. But my voice is something I have worked on over the years. Not like, what's the word? Not as if like trying to actually train it, but just by singing and trying to develop it.
Okay, so because I remember the first time that I used to be in a band, I remember my brother was singing, and the sheer almost embarrassment of hearing your own voice back. He was like, "Oh no!" So because it's one of the things that it can really put you off, but you've got an amazing voice. It really suits what you're playing.
Well, thank you. I'm not so sure.
No, all right. I mean, for a sense, no, you should take it because you keep in tune, which is trust me, I've I've been there and I'm all over the shop. I can't hold a note. So you know, was there any particular that say when you were sort of like developing that was just you would sing aloud to yourself, or would you be listening and kind of sing along to tunes and then kind of think
No,
things
just trying to pitch to the cap.
Okay.
Yeah, just it's the only way I can sing when I'm playing guitar. I can't sing without it.
Okay, so literally it was you'll be doing it by yourself. You won't kind of like listen to an album and think, okay, I'll try to sing along to that. Like,
No, I just learn the song and try and do it like in my own way. Try and find the key where my voice would fit, especially because I've got it's like low mid to mid, like my range. So it's not like I can't do falsetto, and really low notes I can't get. So I'd always have to try and adjust it to work within that range, and that's where the capos came in.
Okay. So
the biggest development of my voice was one night at George's. Actually, it was a bit of a heavy night, but for some reason I just got over the anxiety of it, and I sung a way that I've never sung before. And I've always, ever since that point, it was a couple of years ago, I've been driving to try and find that again, and I've got somewhere close now, except a bit more husk now.
Okay, that's I suppose that's always a balance you've got to find, isn't it? Because you can. It goes back to what we said at the beginning. Because you can almost, like anything, you can overtrain yourself or over try to replicate something. And I suppose, like you said, a lot of it just comes with, as you said, with what you're playing and how you're playing it. Because, which kind of leads on really. I mean, I don't know how much you want to sort of let people know this, but no. Just a couple of weeks, you sent me some stuff, and then there we were at the forum, and then you came up and you brought your phone out, and it was like you played some stuff I haven't even heard, and it was again a whole new different direction. And I'm never shocked by that, because I think truly creative people they're never bound by any sort of stuff. It was so different to what I would know you of. How did that come around? I mean, what made you sort of even think of doing something like that?
Basically, I was, like I said, I've been having a bit of a writer's block for a while. I've written one song in the past 8 months, so I felt like I needed to try and do something. Just like I getting itchy fingers, let's just say. And I thought, when I was studying, I was a bit narrow-minded. I just wanted to stick with live instruments. I wasn't interested in the actual electronic side. And now I've got more into that sort of music, it made me want to sort of dip my toe in and have a go. And I made a few little tracks with just software instruments, and that's it. And I just got a bit of a taste for it. And then with them tracks that I showed you and sent you, that was while I was isolating. I just started with literally one idea and then just went from there. Just a few hours later, I've got a track.
Well, let's break that down again. I mean, you've spoken like a true musician there. I just went, no, break this down. So I mean, obviously, again, because it's a completely different style. So I mean, obviously, like you say, you're working on that. I mean, break it down as much as possible. And what was the actual, every step of that journey?
Well, with the I was sort of concentrating a lot more on the beat as well, because I've had my drum kit back after 12 years of not having it, so I've been playing that more regularly lately. Until I got the complaint. Yeah, so basically I just started I'd make a nice beat and then just think, oh, what can I go with this? And just, I don't know, just build on one idea, and then you start getting influx of more sort of ideas and inspiration, taking inspiration from different tracks. The one of the tracks, as I started it and I came in with a little guitar lick, I realized it sounded a little bit sort of like Tash Sultana.
Yep.
So that influenced the track in going more in that direction. And also, like, my love of strings, I thought, right, I want to try and get like string quartet in there, so I started using some software, stringed instruments, and just trying to compose some tracks, really.
And is your aim to put? Is it going to be what, an instrumental? Is it be a
Yeah.
little?
I feel like them 3 tracks I want to get them mastered, and then release that as an isolation sounds EP.
But literally instrumental, no words at all.
Yeah, I just want them instrumental. I feel that they express themselves as they are.
Okay.
That's how I want them, really. I don't know if I want to add lyrics to them.
Okay, that's again. This is exactly like I say. It's what I love about being truly creative. You can do one thing and another thing, and you know, I mean, and I think that's one of the things that I don't have your opinion on it, but I found so many times with bands over the years that they will, or musicians, they will get to a point, people will kind of like their stuff, and then maybe because of laziness, maybe because of just the pressure of thinking, okay, if I want to do this, and this is what's going to happen, people like it, and they end up being stuck in a rut. So when they do eventually, as all creative people do, like, I want to do something else, they find that their fan base are like, no, or people like this stuff, like, what are you doing? But you've immediately just gone, I'm going to completely do a handbrake turn and go that way. You know, so it's truly, like I said, that's a true sort of the element of being creative, is, you know what I mean? And I suppose you're lucky that you haven't got a fan base sort of telling you what you can do and what you can't do, which is so many bands get enslaved by that. I don't know if that's something you found.
I have experienced that over the years, and I mean, I have been there myself, where I've like loved a band for, like, say, their first album, and then they bring an album out which is completely different, and it's just like, oh, it's not the same, no, and then just sort of being a bit arrogant about it, like, say, oh no, it's not the sound what they're known for, so I don't want to listen to that. And I've, like I said, I've fallen prey to that before, but as I've got older, I realized the more sounds and the more like styles, it just opens up so many more possibilities, and I like to try and play with them possibilities where I can.
So I mean, I like sort of like in the evolutionary process at the moment, where you got these ideas and, like you said, you want to master them. I mean, what are your thoughts as we sit here today? I mean, you plan to put this out, what, just as a digital album? Are you able to put it as a physical album or something? Or
Go one for that one. But like I said, there was a couple of tracks which I actually did with George. He's on both of them, so we've got Better Days and What a Devil. And then I've got a song, the latest song I've written. I still haven't got a name for it yet, but I want to release them maybe as another little EP, and try and maybe get that down as a proper physical copy. But it would depend on funding.
Yeah, as many sort of musicians that find. I mean, that's another conversation we could have another time, because I think one of the things that I don't know how much you're into it, how much you know about stuff, but and I'll maybe have a conversation one-to-one another time, but in more in depth. But I know an option you could do with that is do it into crypto, because there's a lot of people now who are kind of on that tip and understand, like, that's a really great way of directly funding someone like that rather than them to go through a middleman. So I don't think that's something you considered.
I did think about it, especially like Dan. He's very big on his cryptocurrency, and he was trying to get me to do it. But at the moment, I can't really afford. I don't have the money to put into it. So,
no. But okay, well, that's one of the things about. We'll have a talk about this, but I mean, the great simple one right now that you could do. And you know, and I've known a couple of bands who've done this. You know, you can start from zero. You can just get yourself a little wallet address, put that out, and people will, you know, I mean, people will support that. Because, do you know
like
what I mean?
Crowdfunding.
Well, not even crowdfunding. You just put it up. I mean, I'll give you an example. I mean, I've known a couple of bands who just did that. They just got themselves a little wallet dress, put it on their social media, and said, you know, we're a band. We just, you know, we could do with the resources. You know, money's tight, because that's a very, very common one. That, you know, people, as people kind of know, and sort of like a bit of a tangent, but I've always found it frustrating. People think, oh well, you're creative. You love living in poverty. It's all part of it. I'm like, man, I've got bills to pay, dude. You know what I mean? There is a, you know, I think people forget that. But going back to what I'm saying, you can start with just putting an address up, and obviously the people in your social media thing, if they're into crypto, will send it across. I mean, if you had a wallet, I would send you some crypto across, 100%, because I like the idea of directly funding someone without a middleman or a bank or any of that kind of thing. But what you'll also find is once you've got something like that, you'll open up to a whole different sector of people, because there's a lot of people who've got crypto over the years and they want to use it. Now, obviously, we live in a world where you can't overly go into your bank, you know, into your local Sainsbury's or whatever, and just hand you know, say, can I pay that crypto? We're not there yet. But there's people with resources, and they go, oh wow, if I can support that. So it is crowdfunding, but without the, which I've always found frustrating. I remember talking to the twins about this many long hours. But you can find sometimes with crowdfunding, literally the crowd then want to, which goes back to you saying earlier, they then want to sort of shape what you're doing.
Yeah.
You don't want that. You just want someone like, just help me out resources. So long-winded way of saying, my friend, I think we should have a longer conversation about crypto.
Be a good option to look into. Now, the way that you've explained it,
because it's anything that's going to help you and you know, do this, I think is a great thing, because particularly with this new sort of genre, like say, trying to get it out to the world, because I don't know how you feel right now. I mean, again, from your perspective, I mean, how do you sort of feel that lockdown and all the last 2 years that we've been under, how do you think that's affected A, the audience, and B, the sort of, you know, from your side?
I think it's ruined the music industry. I mean, yeah, it's starting to get back now, but it's not the same. But for me, I gain influence by going out, doing things with other people, experiencing things, watching other people's experiences, and that would help me write. But throughout lockdown, as I said, I wrote 3 or 4 songs at the start, and there's nothing since. And apart from that one track, and it's just totally like capped my creativity, especially lyrically. I get like half a verse down or a verse, and then that's it, or a chorus, and then just can't go any further with it, because I don't feel that I've had enough sort of experience lately to sort of shape that into a song, if that makes sense.
No, it completely makes sense. No, it's quite fascinating. I was talking to, again, the twins about it, you know, just a couple of weeks back, and it's like, I don't know, but it's almost like, I was recalling the, you know, when it's the only time I've seen you live was when you played with the twins, when you played with the Demons back in Richmond. And it just seems like an age ago now. It just seems such a, like, almost like innocent times. It's like, you know, but so it kind of leads on to sort of, obviously the obvious question I've been asked, you know, by many people to ask you is, what are your plans to go out and, you know, to go out and play live again, or?
I'm unsure. Is the short answer. So basically, it started getting a little bit stressful towards the end of when I was doing a lot of shows, because quite often I'd be lugging all the equipment about, having to go pick all the other members up, sometimes having to go down to Leeds to pick Malty up, to come back up to this end of the country, to go back down and drop them off at the end of the night. And it was just too much by the end. And after this break, I don't know if I want to go back to doing that all the time, but what I'm planning on doing is, well, I was originally going to go tonight, but I decided I would do this instead. But just go to an open mic, dip my toe in, and see how I feel. Just because I do miss playing live, but it's just all the hassle that comes with it that I don't miss.
Well, as I said, maybe I sort of feel it was a perfect moment, but the fact that I saw you with the Ceiling Demons, and the amount of times I said to the twins, like, you need to have John Stainthorpe with you. You need to have him again, because the synergy between the both of you is amazing. It's like a yin and a yang. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, again, have you ever considered doing sort of any sort of like collaboration with Evs two?
Yeah, so we have discussed it before. We were actually in a band together before Ceiling Demons. We were in a band called yeah, I played drums for them for a while then. And then we've had a few other little things on the go, just like recording little songs and that. But yeah, I would like to do something. I think, like, especially with these new tracks, I was thinking I would quite like to make a track for them to write over.
Okay, well, I've often sort of had a chat with the twins about it, and I especially now knowing that you've got your sort of like not only a passion but kind of knowledge and skills of production. This isn't any slight on it, but I've always thought like we will find a way. If you could do that again, would you do it the same? Because that tune, that's kind of one of the things that sort of semi got how I've heard about. Because I heard about the twins for an Evening Post after years back, and then I went straight to the traits, and I was like, this "We Will Find a Way" was just amazing. So I always said to them, it'd be great to sort of go back and even just record that again and see how that would be developed. You must. When did you? That's probably what, at least 10 years old. That stuff.
Yeah. It was when I first came back from Carlisle. So we're talking 2009, 2010.
So how long have you known the twins?
Since year 7, year 8. So.
Oh, well, you were in school together then.
Yeah.
Oh,
we're
wow.
in the same.
And what? Okay, so were you into music at that point, or was it?
Well, I started playing a little bit after that. Like I said, I started on drums. They started getting into little bits. I think they started with keyboard or guitar first. But yeah, I think it was when like obviously they started like experimenting more with traits. But it was when I think they got to Ceiling Demons where they really found their calling.
Okay. So, like I kind of really sort of like almost going back to where we sort of started. Now, the fact that you play your drums. Have you? Do you ever think there's going to be a time? And obviously, you don't know the future. I don't know the future. But is there ever a calling inside you to go, I want to go full on, smash this, proper, like almost like full on heavy style drumming, or?
Yeah, I was always quite heavy. Not like heavy as in metal, but like I love that sort of like big rock. So I'm a heavy hitter, and I love that sort of dynamic sound. Like getting that power behind it, and love big fills and stuff like that. But like it's actually something I do really fancy, like playing in a band, playing drums again.
Okay. So one day we could maybe see John Stainthorpe giving it full pelt behind a kit somewhere. Well, one of the things that again, I said, Johnny, it warmed my heart. I sat there the other day and I only just came across it. So I think it's only been out. It really did warm my heart. It's kind of very touching was the seeing you play with your daughter and her singing. I was like, that must. From a man who's a father himself, to have that is, I mean, how does that make you feel that she could sing the wee words, word for word?
Very proud moment. The first time we did it was just like at home, and then she did come out and play at a couple of gigs with me. But yeah, it was a very big moment for myself. It doesn't happen as often as I would like, but trying to push her back into it. She's really into her singing, but she's different styles of music now. She likes all of chart music and.
Well, it was again that came clearly across. She's got an amazing voice. I'm not saying it's, you know, but for someone her age, it was like, wow, she can hold a note and she can, you know, and it was
Yeah.
like, what I loved about it, it was her passion. She almost like she felt the words, which I thought it's really strange because, like you said, knowing now how you've written that song for a little.
Yeah.
You know,
On that. But yeah, she is very passionate about singing. She does love it, and she's very supportive of my music as well. And I think it might have been something to do with why she wanted to sing that song. Maybe, I mean, she did say it was her favorite song, but you never know with kids, do you? Like, whether it's because she wanted to be involved, or I don't know. But it was a nice moment.
well, speaking to someone who's, you know, like again, speaking to someone who's been through all that experience, I mean, it's quite a sort of unique thing, and maybe it gets, I don't know, maybe it's not often you get, you know, when you know, your child actually is into stuff like you like, and she's like, oh, I don't like anything that my dad likes, you know what I mean? So it's just. But no, so like I say, it's been, well, you know, before we wrap this up, it's been sort of a short but sweet one, John, because I kind of, I said before, and I'll definitely recommend everybody. I mean, even if you just go on Bandcamp or whatever, or just find it and listen to it, because
Well, he's to tell me, and I'll send them out.
I think you can, and I really hope you do. I hope at times you sit back, John, and look back and go, this is a great legacy you've left, John. It really is. You know, it's something you can be rightly, I mean, not proud of, because I don't mean it in the right way, but it's something you can look back and give yourself a pat on the back. Because I know it's one of the things that particularly us creators do. We're always on to the next one. And I think sometimes we fail to step back and go, wow, look at what we've actually done. And you should be rightly look back at that and go, you know, there's not many people that can, you know, have a vinyl copy of something that they, you know, are rightly proud of. So I hope you know, times you do. And just on that one, do you often sit down and listen to the album yourself, or is it you just can't?
I don't like the album personally. I think that's a combination of from writing to recording to then mixing. I spent too long on the tracks because I was mixing in headphones, and I wanted a sound that I wasn't gonna get because I wasn't using thousands of pounds worth of preamps and stuff. So like the image that I had in my head, it didn't reach. And I spent too long with the tracks, and I just became sick of it. But yeah, I am proud of like the fact that I actually managed to do it, and I worked 3 jobs to fund getting it pressed to vinyl. So it was a big thing for me, but I don't listen to it now.
Well, okay, John. Like I say, you know, before we do wrap this up, there's a couple of things. One, let people know where they can find you on social media.
Yeah, so just Facebook, John Stainthorpe, or John Stainthorpe and the Laughing Hearts. Both still active, so if you feel you want to get in touch, give me a message anytime.
Perfect. Well, like I say, John, it's been an absolute pleasure, and I think it's kind of like I definitely have to have you back on again, because there's so much we go, so many angles I thought, you know, so many parts I want to talk to you about. But I'm going to leave the last word to you. But before I do, I want to say, life is people, and like I say, John, I'll leave the last words to you, my friend. No pressure.
It's been a pleasure being involved in. It does mean a lot that you asked me to do it, and yeah, I've enjoyed it.
Perfect. Well, like I say, please, if you know, go out, follow John and stuff like that, and well, life is people.
Said we find grace, but this led us into hell. Said we'd be holy, but if only we pray. Instead we'll die lonely if we don't live their way. So don't let us down, oh no, no, don't take our names in vain. 'Cause we found our ground, let us walk into the air. We'll go where most won't dare to go. I think back to those days when they all used to be, all gathered in circles, but only wishing to be free. They opened their souls to an ocean of dreams, just hoping they'll find when they learn how to see. So don't let them down. Oh no, don't take their names in vain. They found their ground, yes, and they walked into the air. They've gone where most won't dare to go.
Well, they say that life is people and that people are angels and that angels are devils and the devils are me and you.